Welcome to this week's episode of Future Fridays, where we chat about future tech headlines from the week. I'm your host, Wiz, and you can find me on Twitter at WizLikeWizard. Today we have three lovely guests who will each have go around and give a short 280 character intro. And we also have Yael, who's a cartoonist who'll be live doodling with us for fun. And you can find her on Instagram at YaelIsms. So AJ, we'll start with you. Do you want to go ahead and give us a short 280 character intro?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having all of us. My name is AJ. I started a company called iCracked, which was on-demand smartphone repair. Built that to a couple thousand technicians in a couple hundred cities. Think of like Uber for iPhone repair, and we sold it to a insurance company called SquareTrade about a year ago. So I'm getting used to corporate life after running a startup for 10 years.
Nice. Jawhara, you want to go next?
Sure. My name's Jawhara, LA-based investor working at Moonshots Capital. Moonshots Capital is a seed fund based in LA and Austin, where we like to lead seed rounds and write checks anywhere from 500,000 to $1 million and back what we like to say is extraordinary leadership, totally sector agnostic, but focusing on the seed stage, native Angelino and devout iced coffee drinker.
Great plug. Sarah?
All right. Hi, I am Sarah Tollemache. I used to be a stand-up comic. Now I just do Zoom shows. But I'm slowly getting out there. So yeah, just check me out online.
Nice. All right. Before we jump into the first game, just wanted to share that all the headlines we're going to talk about today come from a newsletter I work on called This Week in Creative Tech. Each week we share 30 various future tech headlines, ranging the spectrum from sort of like interesting current things all the way to totally crazy future things. Anyone watching today can sign up at bit.ly/join Future Fridays. So we're going to kick off today with a game. So this first round is worth 5 points. There's going to be a really awesome prize at the end for the winner. And this first round is real or fake. So we've got 3 headlines here, two of which are real, and one of which is fake. The job for all of you is to guess which one is fake. So first one here is Amazon removes 6 vendors for selling anti-5G helmets. The second one is lickable taste gadget can recreate any flavor without eating food. And the final headline is this robot can guess how you're feeling by the way you walk. So we'll do hands up, and we're going to do rock, paper, scissors. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. On shoot, just go 1, 2, or 3, whichever one you think is the fake headline, and hold it up, and it'll be 5 points for the winner. So rock, paper, scissors, and shoot. All right, so we got 3, 1, 3. So the fake headline is in fact number 1. Amazon removes 6 vendors for selling anti-5G helmets. That's 5 points for AJ to kick today off.
I'll take it to the bank.
Yeah. The third one there is tricky. I also thought that one was the fake one when I first read it.
I just didn't think Amazon would remove sellers. I feel like they'll keep anything that makes money.
Yeah. And they'll copy it too.
Yeah.
Right.
Amazon Basics anti-5G helmets. All right. So get going with the first headline today. So this first headline is LabGrown Fish just got real. San Diego startup shows off first slaughter-free yellowtail. So this headline is about a San Diego food tech startup called Blue Nalu, which has grown fillets of yellow fish entirely from cells. So cell-based seafood products are made from real fish meat and fat that are grown through cell cultures in a manufacturing facility. They like to compare it to yogurt, right? You take a bunch of cells, you culture them, and you grow more yogurt. They say that it's nothing crazy. The startup's goal is to meet the demand for real fish products while addressing both ethical and environmental concerns, which is a great cause in my opinion. What's interesting about Blue Nalu, unlike some of the other similar food tech fish startups, what's interesting about the yellowtail is they can be cooked in many different ways. So it can be steamed or even fried. Some of the other ones tend to fall apart, which is, I guess, one of the challenges with the product. Yeah, so this startup expects to launch its seafood products into a test market within 2 years. So maybe 2 years from now, we'll all be eating lab-grown fish. So question to you all to kick off the conversation, is lab-grown protein the future of food? What do you all think?
Definitely. I absolutely think it is.
Yeah, I would say either lab grown or like Impossible Burgers where it's like plant based. Lab grown is still super hard to do well from what I've researched on it. But I don't think the future of food is having like concentrated animal feedlots with thousands of cows being slaughtered every day 100 years from now. Right? At least I hope it's not. They smell terrible when you drive by them.
Yeah. And I would agree. I think, Impossible Beyond have shown that people are really starting to embrace a lifestyle where meat is not the centerpiece of a lot of their meals. And I think the next step, taking Beyond is something that can more so mimic meat rather than be a complete different alternative, right? I think the reason Beyond Meat Impossible is so appealing is because it tastes so much like meat and it just makes it very easy. And so lab-grown meat is something that, is ethical, good for the environment, but for those who aren't even so adventurous to try, I think something that's a total meat replacement, lab-grown meat, I think is a very feasible, and realistic future.
I'm for it just for ethical, but I don't want to know about it. Like, do not tell me I'm eating it. I can't picture a restaurant selling it. Like I just, like a waiter giving the spiel where like, oh, we extracted the cells and then we put it in a centrifuge and then we 3D printed it into the shape of a fish that you would like. Like, I just feel like I'm not there yet, but I could probably get there. But we've been eating fake crab meat for years, but that's another one I don't want to know about. But I would like to know how, since they do crab meat with a K, how they're going to spell fake fish. Is it going to be like the banned fish? But yeah, those are my thoughts on the fake fish or fake protein. It's interesting, but I just don't see it like in a restaurant unless the whole restaurant was like lab produced protein.
That's funny.
I totally do.
I went for steaks the other night.
Thing.
I went for steaks the other night and they talked about, the story of how the meat was raised and the specific farm it came from and all that. You could imagine a funny lab grown comp where it's like, oh, this was grown in America's finest lab with certified technicians who are food connoisseurs.
I mean, I think with like it's 3D printed, like you could 3D print a chicken and then it tastes like fish. Like I think that would be kind of an interesting tactic for kitsch.
So one of my dreams is to build a chicken farm on Mars, and this isn't actually a joke. Like, I think the first farmers on Mars that do like actual livestock or poultry are going to be able to sell their product for like thousands of dollars a week or whatnot. And I keep going back and forth like, is everything actually just going to be lab made printed and you won't be able to tell the difference, or is there actually a market for livestock when we get to Mars in the next call it 30 to 40 years? So that's my dream company. Someone can.
We're seeing 3D printers used a lot more, especially in food tech. Do you all see a future where maybe we actually have 3D printers in our kitchen and able to print, chicken flavored fish like Sarah wanted, or basically anything that you could want?
I don't. It's expensive. I mean, I don't even own a crock pot, so I don't see myself owning like a 3D food printer. So I think, things like that are total change in behavior, human behavior. So I would say no. Whereas just eating something is not really much of a change. It's something you can dabble in. I feel like that's too much commitment to be worth it for people to invest in it and to purchase it.
Yeah, I have a printer at home that I have not used for 5 years. So I just picture my meat printer is just going to be sitting on my on my counter not used, and it's going to make me feel bad.
AJ, it looks like you have a nice kitchen there. You got room for a 3D fish printer?
Yeah, I don't see us having that. I mean, the easiest, you can somewhat kind of print food by just planting a garden outside for tomatoes, and people still don't do that, and they just need water. So I don't see that being a thing. I sold my 3D printer, Sarah, so I'm with you on it. Like it was great for a month, but then I didn't find anything useful with it.
Maybe I would print Cheetos or like junk food. Sounds pretty good to me.
I actually recently just got a pitch for something just like that. Like literally you put in a few ingredients and it was like 3D print like your favorite snacks. So it was like not so much printing my like meat, but like, put in like the cornstarch and the flour, and then like now I have like my own Cheetos.
Sounds very much like Easy Bake Oven. Sounds very much like Easy Bake Ovens from the 90s, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Like
aren't chicken McNuggets kind of made that way anyway? Like, what are those ingredients? And then they're printed to look like meat. So.
Yeah. So not so different.
Yeah. It's already happening.
It is worth a YouTube to YouTube how chicken McNuggets are made. It doesn't make them taste better the next time you have them.
Oh boy, no, I don't need that. I need comfort right now, and chicken nuggets are that. So we're not gonna ruin that for.
Yeah.
Probably gonna skip over that one. All right, guys, we'll move on to the first cartoon of the day. Cartoonist, do you have something funny for us?
All right, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one I scribbled down real fast at the end. I hope you can read it. She says, yeah, I never thought marrying a scientist, he'd come home smelling of fish. And then we have the fisherman.
Wait, yeah, these are great.
Oh, thanks. And lastly, this one, kind of what you guys were talking about.
I see this in Silver Lake now. This is amazing.
Really?
I would love to go there.
That's it.
And we will move on to the next headline of the day, which is human-like cyborg eye could power itself using sunlight. So this one is about a team at the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology that basically developed a fake eye that uses a visual sensor that mimics the structures of the human eye. What's interesting about this eye is that it's capable of being powered by sunlight alone and could eventually be used as basically a replacement for people who need new eyes, or even an aid for those who are visually impaired. The artificial eye contains a lens that focuses light on a artificial retina, just like our eyes work. The retina is made up of densely packed light-sensitive nanowires, and the nanowires are made from the same sort of material that solar cells are made from. So they basically act as like tiny little nano solar cells, which is interesting. So the current version of the eye does require an external power source, but the idea is that it would be self-sufficient in the future. So question to you all to kick things off: will we move towards post-human augmentation and become cyborgs, or is this just a sci-fi fantasy?
I like the idea of turning into a cyborg, but I'm always behind on my iPhone updates. I just can't picture myself updating my eye all the time. And it already, from what I sound like, it has a low resolution. So I think I might wait for a newer version of the cyborg eye. But I feel like it'll just end up being for people to watch more porn or something. For a good cause.
That is the great cause.
Pornhub plugins.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I do think on things like this, I do think it's inevitable that we keep trying to use technology to make your bodies better. And I'm totally I have a phobia of like losing my eyesight if you know that you have like a backup, if you lose your regular eye, you can just get a replacement that's better. That's actually pretty cool. But I don't know, like I had LASIK, and it was I don't want to say life-changing, but it's really cool to see technology improve eyesight, and I just think this is probably the next generation of that.
Yeah, I think I agree. I mean, I think we're going to start to see this more and more. I think not anytime soon, but I think we'll eventually get to a place where we're like, able to like control computers features of their mind and able to improve like parts of our bodies with technology. And I think this is just like the natural next step. Hopefully we don't end up looking like Terminator, but like, I mean, I do think that this is a natural procession. Like, I think, you know, arguably at this point in my life, like my phone is already kind of a part of me. So I don't see like why I wouldn't like allow other parts of tech to actually be embedded in me to like become a better human or more capable human.
I could wear mine on the back of my head so I can see what's going on behind me. I think that would be pretty cool, right?
Like a backup camera?
Yeah.
AJ, you talked about the example of if you lost your vision, then you would be comfortable with getting one of these artificial eyes. I mean, I think that's an easy one for most people to understand. What if it wasn't? What if your eyes were fine and it was more about augmentation? Like some crazy company came out with an augmented eye that allowed you to, I don't know, maybe see like with 30 times magnification, like binoculars, or I don't know, some other crazy features. Would you consider replacing one of your good eyes with an augmented eye?
Yeah, I wouldn't be the first in line to do it, but if it's been proven, and I'd let my friends at the FDA tell me if it's safe or not. I think so. One of my buddies, a good example is like people in the early 2000s when they were getting LASIK. It was like a super rudimentary procedure, and it was like 99. It worked 99% of the time, but that's still one person out of every 100 that got messed up. Like, I don't know. I think I'm all for body modifications if it's been tried and tested, but I'm not I'm not going to be first in line on that one.
Where do you think that we should draw the line?
I actually don't think there is a line, because I think I think there's a couple ways to look at it, but let's say the US draws the line, there's still 204 other countries that don't have that line drawn. And I think that like people are going to just ignore it. Both countries, people, scientists are going to ignore any line drawn. So I think it's somewhat pointless. But I could be I don't know. Maybe I'm a cynic on government trying to draw lines on what people can and can't do with their bodies.
Well, one of the books that we talked about a few episodes ago with Peter Rojas was Neuromancer. And in the book, all of the body modification happens in like a future Japan, in like the underground dark belly of the city, which is interesting. You've got a point there, right? Like, so the US doesn't allow some of this. There'll definitely be some crazy country that does. And there's nothing to prevent us from flying over and getting new eyes put in.
Yeah, so like what do they call it? It's like surgery vacation, or it's like people go get cheaper surgeries in other countries. And I think that would happen with like body updates or modification. One as a quick aside, one of my friends invested in a CRISPR technology company, and the founder has like injected himself with his own with his molecules that he made, and I think that's kind of crazy, but I do think that's how you like progress forward in sometimes.
Jawhara, you're shaking your head. What are your thoughts there?
I mean, I don't think I would personally do that, but love that he's willing to be a guinea pig for human advancement. Appreciate that.
Doesn't it get in kind of to a weird territory where people that can afford to augment for stuff like this that can be quite beneficial for work, then you have people that have a skill set that a lot of people won't be able to pay for, and then I don't know, it just feels like a weird territory to get into.
Like a park ranger with binocular eyes?
Yeah. They can demand a higher salary.
What other funny ones would be good there?
Or what's kind of a crazy thought is like, will employers 30 years or 50 years from now actually pay to get your body updated to do a job better? Like, so if like a PG&E lineman, would PG&E pay to have them be able to see like faint electric fields to see if something's on or not? Like, I think it's going to happen. I just think it's kind of a crazy thought.
Creepy. I don't like it, but I mean, capitalism. So
yeah.
All right, we'll move on to the next game. So this is round 2, multiple choice. This is worth 10 points. So Sarah and Jawhara, chance for you two to catch up and beat AJ. So here we've got a headline with a missing blank, and we've got 3 options below. One of them is the correct answer that completes this headline. Your job is to guess which one is correct. So I'll read out the headline and then just write down your answers, and when everyone's ready, we'll show them to the screen. So fashion designer showcases the future of the runway with A, 3D models, B, Facebook avatars, or C, robots. Just give a thumbs up when you're ready, and then once everyone's ready, well, okay, there you go. We'll all show our answers to the screen. What do you got? A. 10 points for everyone.
Yay!
Correct answer is in fact 3D models. Let me just write that down. Awesome. So yeah, this one is this is actually a Congolese designer. I would butcher her name, so I'm not going to try, but she gave a preview of what catwalks might look like in a post-pandemic world with a fashion show using virtual models. So she released her whole latest collection of her fashion brand, which is called Hanifa, on Instagram Live, and she basically created a virtual runway in which she used these 3D models walking down the runway with clothes draped over headless 3D bodies, which gave it some sort of a eerie, like dystopian feeling. Yeah, she had already actually put these plans to go digital with her collection before COVID struck, but I guess it just made it an even better context for her to launch. It took her 7 months to create the CGI models, but her vision is for a bunch of different fashion houses to embrace this technology and start showcasing their designs sans models, which is interesting. So we'll move on to the last headline of the day. So this is Sphero spins off a new company to make robots for police and military use. So Sphero is, oops, no, switch slides by accident. Sphero is the company behind the Star Wars BB-8 toy robot, which some of you may have seen. It was super popular a few Christmases ago, a few holidays ago. Turns out that building those toy robots are not as lucrative as you may think, according to the company. So they've now moved into commercializing both the robots and AI software to go with them for first responders, government and defense, basically anyone who works in dangerous situations. Yeah, so question to you all. Are there jobs and tasks that should not be automated and continue to rely on human instinct and skill? I mean, today is June 3rd and there's protests happening all over the country. This slide was picked before these protests happened. So, I mean, obviously we're in a different context now, and maybe different opinions on the use of robots versus humans who actually may not have great instincts in some of the tougher moments. Would be curious to hear your thoughts.
I don't know. Sometimes remember, I just read Malcolm Gladwell talking to strangers, and he talked about we don't really have that great of an instinct on reading a lot of, strangers, just with judges when they determine giving sentencing. So I don't really feel like robots are that different, but it is kind of scary to think like robots can't pick up on tone of how somebody's delivering something with the emotion behind it. I mean, at least it doesn't feel like with Sphero. So that's kind of scary. I feel like that's kind of scary. But if it's just going in for first responders are helping, but it depends on didn't they have one called Spot and he was helping out with social distancing?
Yeah, we talked about that last episode. He was going around parks in Singapore and just like announcing to people to remind them to keep socially distant.
Yeah, I just find it would be kind of scary for robots to be used in military or police tactics, I think.
AJ, Jawhara, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, are there jobs that shouldn't be automated? Like, I would probably say yes to Sarah's point on like, I want a human judge. I don't want like a robot judge. But then again, I also don't think like if I'm a first responder, if robots can like dig through rubble and find people better, or can go into like hostile situations and they get shot up. I'd rather have a robot do that than other people.
Yeah, I think I agree, AJ. Like, I think, it kind of depends on the context, right? I think at the end of the day, these robots, machines are trained by humans, right? And so these AI machine learning models are created by humans. So it's like kind of almost like, how different is it really? So I think, the case of like, if you're digging through rubble, like, yes, that's amazing. You can get to people. But if it's like, in the case of like police or military force, it's like, I don't know how much of a difference it's going to make. And I don't necessarily know if like one is better than the other. So I think this one's really, really tough.
I do think the name Sphero is really cute for a robot uprising, though. It's not as intimidating as, T2 or Terminator.
It is going to be ironic if 10 years from now they're successful and they started out as that cute toy company. And
oh my God.
coming down.
Says Sarah, they've actually given the new company a different name. It's called Company 6, which
wow.
does have more of that like military name. And AJ, I think
it's also like an evil number. Like, why would they name it Company 6?
I don't know. It would be extra ironic though if they turned into like these robots turned into like oppressive future military robots, and they started from like the cute Star Wars BB-8 toy.
Yeah.
The dystopian switch of companies, quite the pivot. I guess one concern today is, in today's climate, people are talking about how well armed the police forces are, and the presence of military in cities is aggressive. Do we worry that this is taking us more towards, where a robotic army could take us more towards like a Terminator Skynet type situation where we've got like crazy robotic police forces just policing the world? Like, are we moving in a direction that we're not aware of the consequences of?
I definitely, yeah. Oh, sorry, AJ, go first.
No, you're up, Sarah.
I just feel like it's kind of weird to start off as a toy company and then they move into police and military tactics. And it's obviously because of money, because those contracts pay a lot better, no matter what. That it also, and then when you put some, as Jawhara was talking about being programmed by police, you don't know what whoever did it, you don't know what their intent is, that it takes away some of the personnel or whatever, the human contact that you need, I think.
Yeah. So I went to the protest in Austin, downtown Austin last night with some friends, and like looking at the police force, they have like assault weapons, body armor, or like bulletproof vests. They have all this like technology already on them that if I had showed up wearing the same thing, like you'd be arrested. And I think that's crazy. And I think I don't know. I think it's probably inevitable in the future that they're like using robots, but I do think that there is it'd be crazy if you went and protested and it's a bunch of robots like behind a fence. But
yeah.
If that happened, but then again, from the police perspective, they're probably like, well, we'd actually rather have like the lowest risk of well, actually, people make stupid decisions as seen with everything that's going on. And I don't know, maybe robots will make better decisions or never use lethal force when they shouldn't use lethal force. So I don't know, I think I can go either way on it, but I think it's probably inevitable that technology is going to increase, and the future is going to look more like Skynet than it looks like 50 years ago.
Oof.
Yeah.
Jawhara, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think all I can think of, right, was reading this headline. I'm like, all right, there's typically a certain type of person who trains models like this, and it's the same issue we have in just like basic AI when it comes to like face recognition, not really picking up brown and black bodies, and then like things like literally like automated is not being for sometimes people's hands. So it makes me a little bit worried that these are the same folks who are now training militarized robots. And so I think like, yeah, like I would love to think of a world, take the emotion out of it, that would help to kind of lessen force, right, and assault. But I tend to think like, again, it really, robots are just a proxy of like already existing human nature and like kind of systems. So it kind of makes me a little bit nervous.
We'll move on to something more light. We'll move on to the last cartoon of the day. Cartoonist, you got something funny for us?
Yeah. Can you guys see it? We'll start with the light one.
Yeah, these are amazing.
Oh, thank you. All right, number 2. I'll jump to this one. Hesitant police robot.
While we're talking about robots, I go to Japan about once a month for work, and next time anyone's there, everyone should go to Robot Cafe. It was like
I've been twice.
It's incredible, right, Wiz?
So dope.
Show off. I want to go.
I love it.
All right, and then the last one, based on the toy thing you guys were talking about, this is what I imagined.
Oh.
The police Furbies.
Yeah, they're creepy. They watch you. I can totally imagine them marching.
Was there ever a version 2 or 3 of Furby? Because I think it was a commercial success, but I feel like they never came out with a new one, or did they? And I just missed it. Maybe I grew up.
I don't think they came out with more Furbies. I think it was only a very specific thing that could only exist at a very specific time.
I think there could be a nostalgia comeback.
My Furby was very well fed. You could press its tongue and it'd be like, yeah.
Stay tuned. So this is fill in the blank. Unlike the last 2 games, we're actually going to try to have more fun with this one. So we're just looking for funny answers. So 10 points for anything outrageously funny, and 5 points as a bonus if you actually know the correct answer to this. So the headline is: a city in Oklahoma painted its landmark 47-foot statue to look like blank. So objective is to come up with something really funny. Take your time. We'll give you like 30 seconds. 10 points for something outrageously funny, and bonus 5 points if you also know the correct answer. And just thumbs up when you're ready. Sarah, that was quick. You're trained with the funnies.
I'm not funny. This is bad.
What was the bonus part after it, if we know what it actually was?
Yeah, if you get 5 points, additional 5 points if you know the right answer. And then just thumbs up when you're ready. All right. Cool. All right. What do we got?
I put Toby Keith.
Toby Keith, Joe Exotic, and the statue is supposed to look like. Nice. I like Joe Exotic because I've been watching Tiger King. So AJ, 10 points for you. The correct answer is actually Elon Musk. So
What?
yeah, this is the city of Tulsa, Oklahoma. They already had that giant statue there. It was their landmark golden driller, who is a tribute to their drilling history. They transformed it to look like Musk. They put like a mask over it. They painted the Tesla logo on it, and it also has a Tesla belt buckle, which you can kind of see there at the bottom. This was a marketing stunt because they're bidding for the next Tesla factory. It's actually Tulsa and Austin, Texas, the 2 on the short list. So this was meant to get Elon's attention and hopefully help them win the bid. So with 25 points today, AJ is our winner. Great job. I'll email you after the show.
Guys, it's been a hard fought victory.
Yeah.
I love it.
For everyone watching today, this is where you can find everyone online. And one more time, all the headlines that we talked about today came from This Week in Creative Technology. Feel free to sign up at bit.ly/join Future Fridays. Thanks, everyone. That was so much fun. Awesome job.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
So fun.